Hi, this is Rock and Rob ESF from the ECF Forums, the store on YouTube, and today I'm going to be looking at the 3 milliliter Phoenix bottom coil tank from Gottlieb's. Now first I'd like to say welcome back to Steel Jan. She has her videos up, and if you haven't checked out her videos, take a look. She had to take a departure from being harassed from some idiots on YouTube, but now she's back. And I'd also like to thank everyone who's subscribed to me and have watched my videos on YouTube. It kind of blows my mind, but I have now over 60,000 views, over 290 subscribers, so I don't really understand it because it doesn't seem like my individual videos get that many views, but however YouTube calculates it, you know, thank you for watching. Of course you get some unwanted attention, you know, talking about Steel Jan, how she was harassed. I got my own little taste of it by someone on YouTube calling me a faggot and this and that. But, you know, you just, however much you want to respond, I just delete those comments and put that particular video on preview. So you do what you can. Just as a community, we've got to watch each other's back. So let's continue to do that. But we're talking about the Phoenix bottom coil tank. I really like the way it looks, and I don't have the pen cap on it, but I do have a close-up view of video that I was doing to prepare for this video. So let's take a closer look at the bottom coil. This is a Phoenix 3 milliliter tank. As you can see by the threads that it does not have a 510 connection. Rather, it goes on a cone-style device with the threads on the outside. And when you put it on a Ego-style PV, it is actually quite long. And this top piece is a pen cap. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the pen cap device, you'd have to have some pretty deep pockets to actually have it of any use. And I usually don't use it. But I think that's a very attractive device. This black outer coating is the exact same rubbery black coat as the Ego style batteries, and together I think it looks pretty slick. And pull it apart. This is an empty tank I've been using, and the tank itself, I can zoom in, has 2 air holes on the side here. There's one in the cap, and twisting it around, there's another one on the other side. And this black casing, these slits are hollow, so the air is actually drawn in through these slits. And it comes with this black drip tip, which is removable. And as you know, I like using my own drip tips, and these you have to play around to see which drip tips work. This ceramic one doesn't seem to want to fit. This plastic one fits perfectly. And here's the metal one, a shorty. Oop. And that looks pretty good. We'll leave on the black drip tip. Now, this is my dead Kago. And this black sheath that just pulls off to get to the tank. The inside is concave on this silicone lip. And this lip actually pulls off. You can pull it off with your fingernails. It's pretty easy. And then we can see the inside has the middle shaft that leads into the bottom coil. And you can pretty much clean it this way, just putting some water in, swishing around. Don't get water within the center post. And then drain it out and dry it. Or you could actually take this off. It needs to wiggle off. It's a little bit harder than a normal Phoenix. You need to start at the end here to get some leverage. And it just does eventually wiggle off. And from that point we can clean the thread, or not the thread, we can clean the tank, which is just a plastic that is fairly durable. It should hold any type of juice. It's not a polycarbon, it's one of those, has a little give in it. And then we could clean these parts out, or just wipe it down. The top part pulls off just like the Phoenix. And we can dry burn coil. Let me put on a battery that works. Got a wipe. And you can dry burn the coil. Probably only need to if it gets gunked up, or if you're changing juices and don't want to mix juices. So let's compare this to a normal Phoenix, or a CE3. Now I've gotten both CE3s and Phoenix, and I don't really notice the difference between the two. I think Lord Davon did a comparison and didn't find any difference. Now, first of all, the inner rings, zoom in on that, maybe not so much, but the inner ring, I believe this is just a little tad bit larger than the diameter on the Phoenix. Them together. Actually, they look pretty similar. The coil on the 3 milliliter tank does look a little bit more recessed in. Now, comparing the two center posts, the shorter one is the 3 milliliter tank. It's shorter and a little bit squatter. You can see the centerpiece, this is the 3 milliliter. I believe the hole is just a tiny bit larger than the regular Phoenix. And once we clean it, put the center post in, try to get it as straight in as possible. And we can slip on the tank and wipe that out a little bit, just a little bit more. And again, you really don't need to take the tank off. I mean the tank off if you to clean it. You do if you have to dry burn. I just got this off center. Let's see, let's get that nice and centered. There we go. And the tank fits in. Looks good. Now, the recommended way to fill this is to put the silicone cap in, the concave in up, and fill it with the syringe. Now, if you fill it with the syringe, you can see the hole there to fill it. If you do fill it with a syringe, remember you have to put it upside down and fill it from the bottom up. Now, this is not recommended, but I've been doing it anyway. I've been filling it directly into the tank, and I'll show you how I do it. Again, this isn't recommended. A syringe is required, but I really don't like using a syringe, so this is some ectoplasma. So anything I can do to get around using a syringe, I'm going to do anyway. I'm going to fill it all the way up to the bottom of the ledge formed by the center pin. And then I'm just going to start the cap going down. I just want to get it started. Then to push it down all the way, I'm going to turn it upside down and hopefully get the air on the bottom. You might see a little juice come out the bottom, but what I'm trying to do is have the, I'm getting some juice at the bottom. I'm trying to have the air rather than the air pocket be at the bottom rather than the juice. So when I push it in, oh, I'm making a mess. It will I was hoping the air would come out the bottom, but I did get some juice at the bottom, and I can just wipe that down. Now, if you do wipe out the bottom, the center pin on mine has been really sensitive, and I've been pushing the center pin in, not just cleaning it, but even changing to different devices. But once you get this whole thing together, it doesn't leak, or I haven't found it to leak. Doing a quick blowout, another wipe, and not getting any juice. And to pull out the pin, which I have a feeling, let me put it on the device. This thing firing. Oh, it is firing. But to pull out the pin, you can just put some type of pick, or if you have like really tiny tires, to stick within the center and just gently pull it up, so it will make the connection. Let's zoom out. And the sheath should just go right on. Actually, the sheath isn't going on because I don't have this in as far as it should go. There we go. And there we have a filled up Phoenix 3 milliliter tank. And I do think it looks really nice with if you have the black matching Ego. Just looks like it all should go together, and I think it's very attractive. It is large. Now I've known some people don't like how large it is, and I'll see Lord Davon pry out this top ring and just fit it on the top of the silicone. I don't think that looks very good myself, so I'm just leaving it as is because I think it looks really sharp. Now, unfortunately, this is currently unusable because it doesn't have a wick in it. The wick has pretty much died on me, and it just happens with any of the bottom or top coil tanks. Eventually the wick is going to give out, but we can take a closer look at the wick so you can see what I'm talking about. This is a wick from the 3 milliliter Phoenix tank. And this is what's going to happen to all C2, C3 devices that use wick Stardust, is eventually, especially if you use sweet juices, I was using ectoplasma, the wick itself is going to be burnt. And as you can see, this has gotten pretty dark, it's pretty hard. And it's just not absorbing the juice very well now. So this is what the wick looks like when it's pretty much over. Now, since I've had this taken apart, I wanted to see how rebuildable this is. So I was taking a closer look at the this little base piece. And you can look with me as we delve into the inner workings of the Phoenix 3 milliliter tank. Okay, this is the end cap of the Phoenix 3 milliliter tank. As you can see, I just pulled off the cap, and I've already pulled out the wick. The wick goes right through the center here. And in the center is a post. Now, you have to be careful if you're not getting a good connection and you're pulling the post, because it's pretty easy to pull this post out, which I actually did. And you can just grab it with a tool, and it pops out. And you can look closer in here. This piece, this little rubber piece, is torn, so I'm probably not going to be able to rebuild this tank. But in theory, if I wanted to rewick it, this plastic piece comes out, and what I want to do is to get one wire in through this piece of rubber and push the post in through the rubber. So that way there is a connection. This becomes the positive, and there's a positive connection between the wire and it's insulated with this rubber. And the other piece of wire can either go right outside the rubber, or if there's a way I could maybe wrap it around the tank to get the negative connection. If you run both pieces down the center, you have to be careful that when you loop it back, that the wires don't cross. So you need to tightly maybe pull it like that, because if the wires cross, you're going to get a short, and nothing much is going to happen, or maybe something bad will happen. So I think these are rebuildable. I'm not going to attempt to do this one because I've torn the rubber getting it off. Maybe I will try it, but as you can see, the rubber's torn, so well, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I was going to give this a rave review because I really liked the performance. I think it worked better than the smaller Phoenix 1.5 milliliter tubes that look like this. I thought it performed better than this. These I still get dry hits once in a while with the 3 milliliter tank for whatever reason. I wasn't getting that many dry hits. I did have to pull the post out a couple times or pull it down because just by cleaning it or changing devices, it was getting pushed too far up and not making a positive connection. And you got to be careful when you pull the post on these because, as I think I've said, you can pull them out all the way. And if you pull out the rubber gasket as well, you're probably not going to be able to use it again because the wires won't go back perfectly when you push the rubber piece back in. And while I do think these are rebuildable, I think these are really hard to rebuild because of the doing all your work on this on the inner cap in here or inside the sleeve here. It's really hard to work in here, so it's a kind of a pain in the ass to rebuild. But like I said, I didn't rebuild this one because I tore the rubber gasket seal, and I might be able to find one maybe from a VV Nova, sort of recycle the rubber gasket too, so I could rebuild this. But I think the bottom line for these, it's really hard for me to recommend these because it only lasted me like 4 days. It lasted me about 6 or 7 tanks, which isn't bad, but to spend 11 bucks on each for 4 days is not all that cool. And I'm sure like half the cost is taken up on this outer sheath. So I heard they're going to sell the tanks separately, and I guess the question is how much are these going to sell for? If they're comparable to a cartomizer, then it's probably worth it. So we'll just have to wait and see on this. I have to tell you, I really liked the way this worked when it was working, but for all these types of tanks, for this, the 3 milliliter Phoenix, for the Kryptonite, for the or C8, for the Stone tanks, the Vision Grandes, they're all going to last as long as that wick. Which is why I think the movement to make these types of tanks, top coil tanks or bottom coil tanks if they can do it, with heads that you can replace, and if those heads are comparable to replacing a cartomizer in a cartomizer tank, cost-wise, I think that's really going to be the way these are going to go in the future. And there's another one coming out. Someone showed me, see if I can look it up really fast on the interwebs. It was a, where was it from? It looked like a Stardust, but it was in a tank, and the inside piece was replaceable. And it's from Discount Vapors, and it is called the Claromizer Revive version 2. But that is also a tank system with a top coil where you could replace the top coil. And so the more we see tanks going in that direction, the more the replacement part has a comparable price to a cartomizer, the more in popularity I think these will generate. Of course, for the VV Nova, they need to improve those heads, and I'm still waiting to see when the version 2s will come out. However, I'm still using the, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm still using the VV Nova on a cotton wick that I've recoiled and rewicked, and I like it a lot. But we're talking about this. Hard for me to recommend until we can see how much these replacement tubes can go for. I think if it's $3 or less, or $3 in the $3 price range, I could see myself using these an awful lot, because I really do like the way these look on the Ego, Vigo, twists, and it'd be nice if these could come in different colors, maybe a stainless steel or a red laminate or something. Because these are definitely reusable. These will definitely last you a long time. It's just the tanks that need replacing. Talking too much as usual. So I'll leave it there. Live long and vape.